It's the Tristan Law Show. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Tristan Law, semi-retired pro wrestler, and today, I'm your host. Authority figures in wrestling are supposed to keep chaos under control. But what happens when the authority becomes the chaos? Let's go ahead and set the scene a little bit. If you watched Monday Night Raw just this past week, you saw Adam Pearce put his hands on Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker reacts. Bron Breakker gets suspended. And Adam Pearce, well, Adam Pearce faces zero accountability. Nothing is going to happen. Well, that's how it seems to Adam Pearce for putting his hands on Bron Breakker. This episode is not about Bron Breakker really losing his temper. This is about power, favoritism, and a system that changes the rules when it wants to. Adam Pearce isn't losing control of Raw. He's exposing how it actually works. I think Adam Pearce is exposing his own character flaw. When we're looking at Adam Pearce, we need to understand that Adam Pearce, he's the authority figure. Being the authority figure, it means that you're supposed to be neutral. It means that you're supposed to be calm under pressure. You're supposed to be the rule enforcer. You're not supposed to be the participant. Look, in case you guys don't know, Adam Pearce is a wrestler, was a wrestler. The two things that Adam Pearce, well, the one thing that Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, the authority figure GM of SmackDown, have in common is that they were both NWA World Champions. So they're wrestlers in case you didn't know. So Adam Pearce is a wrestler. So Adam Pearce, in the role of the authority figure, he's not there to put his hands on people. He is supposed to be neutral. He's supposed to be like Switzerland. He's supposed to be like a referee. Just be there to wrangle everybody in. But Adam Pearce, oh, he's got some real crazy character traits. What's up, Fernando? Yes, he says that Adam Pearce is a clown. He says that Adam Pearce is an abuse of power. Oh, look, I told you guys I was going to put that new drop in, and we got it. But Adam Pearce, when you're looking at that character, here's how I see Adam Pearce. He's stressed, always stressed out. No wonder the guy's bald. No wonder he's bald. I wonder what his blood pressure looks like. He's always out there screaming, acting the fool. And Adam Pearce has been an authority figure in the WWE since 2020. In 2020, he was the GM, the authority figure, whatever it may be, the figurehead for Raw and SmackDown. My real question is, when is the last time Adam Pearce took a vacation? I think he needs a vacation. Fernando says that Nick Aldis looks and behaves like a true GM. Adam is always over his head. You know what? Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Maybe Fernando, and I don't like to talk bad about America, but maybe Fernando, Nick Aldis is that way because he's British. He's much nicer. When I go to Canada, and I go to Canada all the time, I'm getting ready to go again. I go to Canada all the time, and I'm like, wow, the people are so nice. Even the homeless people are nice. And I live in New York. I deal with some of the most unsavory people every single day. So the people from other countries, they are really nice. So maybe that's why Nick Aldis seems like he's got a much better control over what's going on. Because when something happens with Adam Pearce and he gets stressed out, what does he say? He says, I need a drink. I need a drink. You know what you need, Adam? Adam, I'm going to tell you what you need. You might need a little bit of therapy. Because you're always making decisions that are emotional. He's always yelling. Adam Pearce is the kind of person where he's a speak first, think last kind of fella. If you ask me, the Adam Pearce character comes off as not emotionally intelligent, and he's very reactive. You see, for me, in my life, I just read Fernando's message. I'm gonna read you guys Fernando's message right now. In my life, I think I hate to feel like I've lost control of myself and I'm walking around the public streets and I hate when I see people yelling at each other in the streets. I'm like, no, don't do that. It shows a lack of emotional intelligence. It shows that you're very reactive, impulsive. I don't like to behave impulsive. I like to think and consider everything and then react. Because when you react first and then consider everything, you could have made a mistake. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but you could have made a mistake. The same way that Adam Pearce made a mistake on Monday Night Raw when he put his hands on Bron Breakker. Fernando says that Adam Pearce needs a sponsor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could see 100% why Fernando would feel that way. Everything is I always need a drink. You know what? Maybe Adam Pearce is drunk on the job. Maybe he's already drunk. Maybe instead of Adam Pearce saying, hey, I need a drink, he's already gotten the drink. Maybe when Adam Pearce was saying that I need a drink, maybe he was already a couple of drinks in. We got a poll going on. Survey. The survey's asking, Adam Pearce is blank. Here are the choices. Adam Pearce is unstable. Adam Pearce is always justified in his behavior. Adam Pearce needs to be suspended. Adam Pearce is something I'll type in the chat. Right now, 1/3 of the audience decided to type something in the chat. But right now, 67% of the audience, the majority of the audience believes that Adam Pearce is unstable. What should happen to Adam Pearce? You see, Adam Pearce, Adam Pearce is the kind of guy, right? To when you're watching Raw, you see that he publicly favors certain stars. And one of those certain stars was Bron Breakker. Oh, he was so high on Bron Breakker. He was... Let me give you the story, the rundown between Bron Breakker and Adam Pearce. I got it written down right here. The problems between Bron Breakker and Adam Pearce didn't start on this episode of Raw that we just watched. They started the moment that Bron Breakker got to the main roster. From day one on Raw in spring 2024, Bron Breakker was treated like a weapon. He wasn't treated like a star. Adam Pearce was publicly favoring Bron Breakker. He being Bron Breakker, he debuted destroying people. Let me put up a picture of Bron Breakker. All right, so that while we talking, we know who we talking about, right? I'm gonna put up a picture of Bron Breakker. That's Bron Breakker picture right there. Bron Breakker, he debuted destroying people. He ignored referees. He escalated situations, and Adam Pearce immediately responded with fines, suspensions, and public reprimands. The key moment was May 2024 when Bron got suspended for excessive violence and ignored the suspension, came back anyway, and Adam Pearce openly questioned whether drafting him was a mistake. So here is my thing. So now you suspend Bron Breakker almost a year and a half later, right? Year and a half? 18 months? I don't know. But you suspend Bron Breakker again. And what do you expect? You expect Bron Breakker to just sit at home again? Because he didn't sit at home the last time. From that moment, though, their relationship was never reset. Because throughout late 2024 and all of 2025, Adam Pearce kept trying to manage Bron instead of empowering him. He threw him out of arenas, banning him from ringside, booking matches that were meant to contain him, treating him like a liability instead of a main event investment. Meanwhile, Bron Breakker kept winning, kept escalating, kept proving that he couldn't be controlled. Even Paul Heyman was having a problem controlling Bron Breakker. Look at Bron Breakker. By the time that Bron Breakker aligned with Paul Heyman and became part of the Chaos Heavy storylines in 2025, Adam Pearce, he wasn't a neutral GM anymore. He was personally involved, and that's when the authority figure crossed from administrator to antagonist. Look, Adam Pearce is just as guilty. Adam Pearce does not walk away scot-free. He's an antagonist, not a protagonist. He's not a good guy. Adam Pearce is a heel. So when Adam Pearce put his hands on Bron Breakker on the episode of Raw that we just watched and then suspended him, that wasn't a shocking twist for me. It was the final receipt in a story that's been building for almost 2 years. The bottom line is that it's not a temper problem. This wasn't a one-night incident. This was a long power struggle where Adam Pearce tried to control something uncontrollable and Bron finally stopped absorbing it. The Raw blow-up wasn't a start. It was an inevitable explosion. That's what happened. He used to publicly favor him. And what happened? Now you got bit. Let me tell you something that I always say. I am a man that has sayings for everything. If you know me, and you guys know me, but as we go on, you guys will always get to know me better and better. I'm a man of sayings. I got a saying for everything. Maybe it's because my mother has a saying for everything. My saying is that you can't put your hand on a dog's mouth and be upset that it bit you. Because at the end of the day, a dog is always going to be a dog. He's a dog. Literally, figuratively, imaginatively, positively. Bron Breakker is a dog. He's a wild animal. Fernando says that you can't put your hands on talent. You're not supposed to mess with the zoo. Yeah. Fernando says that you can't put your hands on the talent. You're not supposed to mess with the zoo animals because they might attack the same person. Because they might attack the same goes messing with somebody like Bron Breakker. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Fernando. Yes. You're not supposed to put your hands on the talent. That's like the referee of a basketball game putting their hands on the talent. You're not supposed to do that. That's like the coach putting their hands on the player, on the athlete. Here's the key point, though. This version of Adam Pearce isn't a referee. He's a pressure cooker. He's a boss at wit's end. His character is one bad decision away from forced early retirement. And pressure cookers don't defuse explosions. They cause them. Look. Let's look at the incident as a whole. We're going to break this down clearly. Adam Pearce verbally escalates the whole entire thing. If Adam Pearce was a little bit more emotionally intelligent, the character, I don't know the man, we're talking about the character. If he was a little bit more emotionally intelligent, he would have been able to think, maybe send security out there and just supervise. But he decided that he wanted to put himself in the middle of it. Bron Breakker's getting ready to line up his opponent for the spear around the ring, and Adam Pearce runs out there and puts his finger in Bron Breakker's face and starts yelling at him. But I must say, though, WWE did something very cinematic and new on Raw on Monday. They shot that little segment there between Bron and Adam. They had them outside of the ring, and then they had Bronson Reed line up Penta for the splash from the top rope. It allowed everybody to be a part of the scene with the most important part happening in the front. And what happened in the front, the most important part was the verbal agreement. I loved that they took Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker, everybody else that was involved at ringside, and turned them into background actors where the background was just as important as the foreground. Shout out to him. Fernando says that Adam Pearce needs to suffer the same punishment Gorilla Monsoon did when he put his hands on Vader back in the Attitude Era. Okay, I can see that. Fernando says that Stone Cold would have stunned his butt every single week.
Yeah!
I agree. Stone Cold Steve Austin would have dropped him on that stack of dimes that he called a neck. So looking at the whole entire situation, Adam Pearce initiates physical contact first. And then you know what happened? Bron Breakker reacts. You put your hand in the dog's mouth and then you got bit. You are supposed to be impartial. You are supposed to be Paul. I know his name is Adam, but he's supposed to change his name to Paul and say, my name is Paul, and that's between y'all. He's supposed to change his name to Bennett. He's supposed to say, you know what, my name is Bennett, and I ain't in it. And he's going to send the security to go handle that. But he puts hands on Braun, turn him around, and starts to yell in his face. And Bron Breakker does what? He does what a dog is supposed to do. He bites. He reacts. And instinctively, he yokes him up. He yams him up. He yams him up on the rope. And Paul Heyman is like, yo, bro, chill. Bron Breakker is the loose cannon who Paul Heyman tried to rein in. If you had watched the beginning of this whole Vision thing with Bron Breakker when he first got in there, and I'm talking about go back and watch it from when Seth Rollins was there. Bron Breakker always feels like a loose cannon. And Paul Heyman was just trying to rein it in. And eventually, Paul Heyman said, you know what? I'm just going to let Braun be Braun. He took the same exact hands-off approach that he did with Brock Lesnar, where what Paul Heyman does is he lets the talent be the talent and handles everything in the background. And what happens to Braun in the end? What happens? Braun gets suspended. And what happens to Adam Pearce? Nothing. Nothing. He gets to keep his authority. No accountability, no nothing. Granted, Raw just got off the air, but here's the question. Who was supposed to hold Adam Pearce accountable? One of the things that I always say is that you need to always remember that everybody works for somebody. There's not one person in this world who doesn't work for somebody. Whether you are the cashier at Walmart, you work for somebody. Whether you're the manager at Walmart, you work for somebody. Whether you're the CEO, you work for the shareholders. Okay? Whether you are running your own business, you're accountable to yourself. You work for yourself. You work for the customers. Everybody works for everybody. So who is going to hold Adam Pearce accountable? I want to see it be Triple H. Because when you look at the distinction between Adam Pearce and Bron Breakker, Bron Breakker's held to a higher standard because he's dangerous. And Adam Pearce is excused because he's in power, because he's the one that's in charge. So when authority breaks the rules, it's called managing the situation. But when talent reacts to the whole thing, it's called crossing the line. And he suspended him. I think that the problem with the whole entire thing is that Adam Pearce didn't like Bron Breakker. He pulled a Bron Breakker and didn't like what Bron Breakker did to him. So who actually crossed the line here? Let me know in the comments. Whether you're watching live or on demand, let me know in the comments. Who crossed the line here? Was it Bron Breakker who crossed the line? Or was it Adam Pearce who crossed the line? Huh? Let me know. Who crossed the line here in this whole entire story? Was it Bron or the guy who put hands on him first? Fernando says that Adam Pearce should be a leader by example.
Thank you.
He also says that Adam Pearce should have known better. Brock Lesnar already gave it to him. Yeah. Fernando, you've got the story. You're watching Raw every single week. You get this. You understand. You understand. If you ask me who crossed the line here, look, in case you guys don't know, I have a very extensive background in management. And in my extensive background of management, one of the things that I always learned is that I have to be the leader. I have to be, if everybody's a 10, I got to be an 11. I have to lead by example. I got to be willing to do the things that I ask the people to do. So if Bron Breakker's being asked by his boss, Adam Pearce, to act a certain way, don't you think that Adam Pearce should be the poster boy, the poster child of how to act that way? We got the poll. The poll is still going on. That's one of the perks of watching live. Adam Pearce is, that's what we're asking. Adam Pearce is, right now, 50% of the audience feels that it's unstable, while the other half of the audience feels that Adam Pearce is always justified in his behavior. Look, I don't disagree that Adam Pearce is not justified in his behavior. But you know what his justification, his behavior got him? Got him this. Got him yoked up in Germany in front of the millions and millions of people watching on Netflix. This is where the lack of emotional intelligence for the Adam Pearce character comes in. This is not new to wrestling. Nah, not at all. Not at all. But it is being presented differently now. You see, like Vince McMahon, he'd rarely put his hand. Vince McMahon would never put his hands on you to stop a verbal altercation. What Vince McMahon would do is that Vince McMahon would either use the muscle or the security or even use the cops. Teddy Long, Mr. Holla, 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 he was not getting involved in it. He was just going to use his mouth. And Teddy Long was going to use his verbal authority to get his point across and hold people accountable to high standards. Because if you didn't behave during the Teddy Long era on SmackDown, what happened? You were going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. It's different now. The real story. WWE is telling. Bron Breakker is an uncontrollable force. And Adam Pearce is the system trying to contain him. But systems often provoke, manipulate, and then punish for the reaction. Let me tell y'all a story. Story time with Big Tris. A long time ago. I'm talking about right when Moses was getting ready to part the Red Sea. That's how long ago this was. I used to work at Universal Orlando. And I had this supervisor. I'm going to call her name. Her name was Marie. And Marie was just nasty and rude and disgusting and used to provoke 19-year-old me every single day. This is a 21-year-old story. She used to provoke me every day. She used to come over there with her little nasty little attitude and to straight up violate me. So then what used to happen was that I would react back. Because living in Orlando, Florida, I had just come from New York City about 2 years before, And I was like, yo, I got this New York state of mind. I'm not going to let you violate me. You're not going to talk to me any old crazy kind of way. Granted, I was 19 years old. I didn't have emotional intelligence. I know. So every single time Marie would provoke me, she would manipulate me, and then what would happen? I would end up in the manager's office, because she was only a supervisor. I would end up in the manager's office, and I would get punished for the reaction. I would get written up. I would get everything happen to me, and they were threatening my job. Until one day, it happened again. Marie came by. She provoked me. She manipulated me. She put the battery in my back. And then when I went to the office, the manager, Robert, he said to me, Tristan, why are you always in here with you and Marie? And I always said, my 19-year-old me, oh, I'm always in here because she did this, she did that, she did this. Me not taking accountability for nothing. Zero accountability on my part. What did Tristan do? Oh, he ain't doing nothing. He's good. Zero accountability on my part. And my manager, Robert, said to me, 21 years later, it has stuck with me. What I'm about to tell you, he told me. Me being a manager at Universal Orlando, me being a manager at Walmart, being in the fire department as an assistant chief, me being a manager at Dollar Tree, me just being in charge of people. I even use this one line on them because there are people like Marie's running around there. Robert said to me, well, Tristan, if somebody's nasty to you, you don't have to be like Miss Jackson and get nasty back. I understood that. You don't have to be a Janet Jackson fan to understand what that meant. But Robert said to me, Tristan, if somebody's nasty to you, you don't have to be like Miss Jackson and be nasty back. What's up, Robbie? What's going on? So what happened the next time with Marie? The next time Marie went out there and provoked me. The next time Marie went out, well, she tried to provoke me. The next time Marie went out there and tried to manipulate me, I smiled in her face. Because she was nasty to me, it doesn't mean that I have to be nasty back. So what did I do? I went to Robert. And every single time I went and I told, and I said, this is what Marie is doing to me. And then his response was, well, what did you do? I said, well, I came to you. Eventually, what happened was that Marie wasn't there anymore. Why? Because she kept harassing the employee. She kept harassing the employee, and I came to work on time. I did what I was supposed to do, and Marie was eventually gone. Now, looking at Bron Breakker and Adam Pearce, Bron Breakker is trying to provoke and he's trying to manipulate. I'm sorry, Adam Pearce he tries to manipulate the whole entire distance. Just use a hands-off process. And now you're going to punish the men for the reaction that you caused? Fernando says his favorite song is What Have You Done For Me Lately? That's my jam too. What have you done for me lately? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, I should stop singing. I want people to come back. I'm going to stop singing. Let's go to the chat. Fernando says, is she the reason you hit the gym and became a wrestler? Actually, no. I wanted to be a wrestler from the time that I was in the Attitude Era. I used to write Vince McMahon and Vince Russo to the WWF magazine all the time to want to become a wrestler. And no, let me just set the table first. No, I would never work out and want to become a wrestler because a woman intimidated me. Because I think that's wrong, because that would insinuate that I was going to try to beat the brakes off of Marie. But if I had a sister that was older than me or younger than me, my little sister's way too young, I would have sent them to go beat the brakes off of Marie. But that didn't happen. That's where the lack of emotional intelligence comes in. I'm emotionally intelligent now. But I always wanted to be a wrestler from the Attitude Era. And what happened was that working at Universal Orlando, I used to have backstage access to when TNA was there. So it's a story I've told plenty of times, but I'm trying to tell it in pieces. but I wanted to be a wrestler because I always thought that it was cool. I tried playing football. I can't catch, and I run like a girl. I can't play baseball because when I tried playing Little League, the ball hit me in the head. The ball hit me in the face. I got hit in the face with the ball so many times that I didn't even need a mitt. Basketball, I was always taller than everybody else, but once you gave me the ball in my hand, I didn't know what to do with the balls when I had them in my hand. Hockey, I always wanted to play hockey, but they didn't have a hockey rink in the Bronx, not that I knew of. Tennis, look, man, we didn't play tennis. I would have loved to play tennis. So wrestling always felt like, something that I could probably learn how to do. So I started going to the gym in like 2005-ish, 6-ish, because I had the idea that I was going to go to a school. I was going to go to either Tugboat or Earthquake or Typhoon, whoever was, John Tenta, whoever it was that was running a school in Florida. And I was going to go to their pro wrestling school. And then when I messaged him, I didn't hear anything. Then eventually I saw that Devon was a part of a school in downtown Orlando called FXE. And I sent FXE an email. I sent Devon an email and never heard anything back. Then a couple of weeks later, I heard something on the dirt sheet saying that Bub and Devon were opening a school in Kissimmee, which is only about half an hour from me where I was living in Orlando, and maybe about 10, 15 minutes from Disney World. I was like, hell yeah, I'm going.
Yeah!
So that's when I started working out and, eating right and getting in shape and stuff like that. But no, it was definitely not for Marie. No, not for Marie. No. No. But if we could have had an intergender match in the middle of Universal, I would have had it. Let's see. Robbie says, I like what Bron is doing. I got DVDs again, WWE. You know what? I got VHS. I got a whole thing of VHS and DVDs that I think that one day, I don't know. I think I have a lot of DVDs because back in the day, I used to have an addiction. Okay, I've said in a previous episode that I've never been addicted to anything. One thing I have been addicted to, besides the crowd reaction in pro wrestling, I've been addicted to DVDs. So back in the day, it was a status that when a lady came to your house, this is before Netflix, before YouTube, all that. Hey, what's up, Maria? That when somebody came to your house, a woman came, and you want to entertain them, you need to have a DVD collection. My uncle had a VHS collection from top to bottom. It was to the ceiling, down to the floor. He had a VHS collection. And I said, you know what? Growing up, didn't have a father, so my uncles are my role models. I said, you know what? I need to have a DVD collection of my own. So I used to go into this place called Movie Stop. It was just like GameStop. And I'd go in there, and it was in Orlando on Kirkman Road, right around the corner from Universal Orlando. And I used to always go in there and buy a DVD. I used to go to Walmart into the big bin, the $5 bin, and pick out movies. That's where I found my love for Eddie Murphy. I used to be like, you know what, a $5 movie for Eddie Murphy. I'm 20 years old, don't got nothing really going on. Let me go take this movie home and watch it. So I've got a SHIT ton of movies and wrestling VHS and all this other stuff that my son is going to look at me one day and go, Dad, what's all that? Before your time, kid. It's going to be like 8-track for me. So, but yeah, Robbie, I'm not going to lie. I like what Bron is doing. I like how the easy question, I like how the easy answer to the question was just to give when Seth Rollins got hurt. I like how the easy question was just to give the championship to Bron Breakker. But instead of making him just get it, they had him wrestle CM Punk. He lost to CM Punk. Now they're having him work his way back around. Because the thing that I always say to people when we're sitting here fantasy booking is that if Bron Breakker had won the World Heavyweight Championship, then what? Then what? You set him up for somebody to come beat him and take it off of him? So I like the fact that Bron Breakker got his shot. And because he lost, he's even more unhinged. I'm not saying that Bron Breakker wasn't a wild animal before, but he's definitely a wild animal now. Bron Breakker, whether you want it or not, Bron Breakker is the future of the WWE, whether you like it or not. Bron Breakker is going to be able to go places that his fathers never went. And I say that as a father, it's all about my son going places that I could have never went. Tomorrow on the channel, not tomorrow, Friday on the channel at noon, Main Event Conversations comes back, and we're going to be, with Cheyenne Ortiz. Cheyenne's going to have Bulldog Pittman as a guest on his show. That's going to be so awesome. So no Trista Law show on Friday. The next Trista Law show, there's no shows next week. I'll be unavailable, MIA, but please make sure you check out Main Event Conversations. What Main Event Conversations are doing is a lot of people are unhappy with the WWE right now. A lot of people are not really into what AEW or TNA might be doing. TNA gets their live show on Thursday on AMC. So what we're doing on Main Event Conversations, I'm the producer, and what I'm doing is I'm introducing you to independent pro wrestling talent that maybe you can watch their matches online to get your fix, and maybe if they ever come to your town or when they make it to the next level, you could say, oh, I know that person. So right now there's 2 episodes out, one with Flash Carter and one with beautiful Buddy Thomas, and the third one is going to be with Bulldog Pittman. Are we going to get some big names on the show? I'm working to get big names on the show because I want to give you guys people that you want to hear from. I want to give you, there's not many places that you can say, you know what? I'm going to go to this channel and let's say The Undertaker's there and you're going to talk to The Undertaker live. I'm going to set that up for you guys one day to where in Main Event Conversations, you're going to be able to sit down and watch and talk to your favorite pro wrestling personality live. But there's also going to be people that you're going to say, you know what? I saw them on Main Event Conversations first. That's coming up Friday at noon, right here on the Trista Law Show channel, which is becoming the 830 Wrestling Network. 830 Wrestling Network. And Main Event Conversations also available as a podcast. Wherever you find podcasts, just, hey, just type in 830 Wrestling Network and you'll find everything. All right, now that we've done that, let's go back to the chat. Yeah, Fernando, sorry, no shows next week. I might be in your neck of the woods. Maria says that Bron is the new top dog and WWE is his yard.
Yeah!
Yeah, definitely. I like that. I definitely see Bron. He's the top dog, and I think that I thought about this yesterday. The reason why I think that some of the characters are easier to transition from NXT to the main roster is because Triple H probably watches NXT. He keeps up with NXT. He doesn't just get a report, because there's a difference when somebody tells you something versus when you see it with your own eyes, right? And I think that Triple H is very in tune with NXT because that was his baby. He birthed the baby and it grew up and he gave it to Shawn Michaels for Shawn Michaels to go ahead and run that. But Triple H is still listed as the executive producer. So maybe he is there still making some kind of decision somewhere, somehow or another. So I feel that it's transitions a lot easier. That you got people like Javon Evans, you got people like Jordan Grace, Obafemi. These are people that when they come up to the main roster, you don't have to explain who they are because you already know who they are. Not like before when Roman Reigns was in FCW as Licky. That was his name. His name was Licky. He wrestled in trunks and the little briefs with his little tattoo. Didn't really know who he was. Then eventually they put him, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose together in FCW and put them in tactical gear and called them the Shield. That's when they made their debut on Raw. Or SmackDown or SummerSlam, wherever it was. So the thing is that the transition is so much easier, and it's easier to tell the story because in this day and age, we have to give Triple H some kind of credit, and give him credit for this. In this day and age, NXT doesn't operate in its separate universe. It's not a separate storyline. NXT is a part of the storyline. It's a part of the main roster. If you watch NXT, you never know who you might see go from show to show. You might see somebody from NXT come to Raw and SmackDown just for you. It's not, and I think most times when people go up to NXT and Raw these days and they fail and I'm using quotation marks when I say fail because I don't think that they failed. I think that when they go up to Raw and SmackDown, and and then you see them again on on NXT, the idea was for you to go, hey, who's that? Oh, that person on NXT? Let me go watch NXT now. It's not a slight to the wrestler. Maybe the wrestler might need a little bit of work behind the scenes, but you know what? That's not the point. The main idea is that now you saw them on SmackDown or Raw, and now you're going to go back to NXT to go watch them. So yeah. Maria says, hot take Maria. Maria says that Adam Pearce reminds me of the owner of the Chipmunks, who's always in a bad mood and always expecting him to yell, Alvin! His name was Dave. His name was Dave. I think it was Dave. But you know what, Maria? You've got a really good point. Adam Pearce reminds me of Dave from the Chipmunks. And he just wants to run around and just yell Bron. Because you know what? Just like Dave. Is his name Dave? I'm going to have to look that up. Maybe his name is not Dave. The guy from the Chipmunks. The guy from the Chipmunks. What was his name? What was the name of the man in the Chipmunks? Yeah, it was Dave. Dave Seville. Yeah, it was Dave Seville. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so we're on the same page. It was Dave Seville. And he wasn't emotionally intelligent. But I guess back in the 80s, that was the right thing to be non-emotionally intelligent. Well, I'm telling you this. Look, men. It's not okay to be emotionally intelligent. Men. Ladies, I'm not talking to you guys right now. If you have a man that is in the room right now, hand them the phone or tell them to come sit down and listen to what Uncle Tris has to say. Men, it is not gentlemanlike for you to behave with a lack of emotional intelligence. I always tell my son, you need to behave like a gentleman. He's 3. I know my mother might say, oh, you talk to him like he's an adult, but you know, he understands. He understands. When I tell him you need to behave like a gentleman, you need to open the door for ladies. You need to always say thank you, right? But eventually I'm going to tell him that you just can't be a pushover, right? But you still need to be emotionally intelligent. You need to think before you act. Woman, now I'm talking to the ladies. I wish Jess was here. I would let Jess do that. Jess should be back when we all come back. But I don't think that I watched the video on Instagram, and you can always follow me on Instagram or on Threads at The Real Big Tris. You guys can follow me. One of the things that I saw in that video was a woman smashing somebody's car with a baseball bat. It leads me to believe that she was smashing a man's car, but why? Humans, don't let 25 seconds cost you 25 years. Because that lady's now, it was recorded by somebody else. All that person had to do was say, hey, you know what? I'm going to write a note, leave it on the car. I saw who damaged your car, call me, and I have the video. That guy's going to watch the video, and she's not going to be able to deny that it's not her, because now when he goes to court and sues her, the cops arrest her, she's now accountable for it. Think before you act. Adam Pearce, you need to think before you act. You see, let me tell you why Bron had to react. Hey, Nosebleeds is here. What's going on? Bron had to react because his character is instinct. He's a dog. It's intensity and it's explosion. Asking for restraint from Bron Breakker is like asking a lion not to eat a gazelle.
Yeah!
Asking for restraint, asking Bron to take a chill pill, asking him to relax, to calmate, is like asking a lion not to eat a gazelle. That's like asking a fish to not swim. That's like asking a dolphin to not poop in the ocean. Some things are just inevitable. And if Bron didn't snap, let me put that picture back up. If Bron didn't, I don't want to say Bron snapped. Bron reacted. If Bron didn't react in the way that Bron Breakker is supposed to react, he wouldn't be Bron Breakker. He wouldn't be Bron Breakker. He wouldn't be the dog. He'd be the cat. That's who he would be. And WWE is positioning Bron as the villain. Okay, here's the question. Let me put this to you guys in a question. Is WWE positioning Bron as the villain, or is he the consequence? Is he the consequence for Adam Pearce's bad behavior? Let's go to the poll. I'm sorry. Let's go to the survey.
Yeah!
First off, Terrell, I still owe you that text message. I'm a text. The second we get off, I'm texting you to catch up, right? I met Terrell on YouTube. He's been here before. He'll definitely be back again. I got plans for me and him to collaborate together. And I like what he does on his channel. If you like football, basketball, and those other sports, go there and watch him on his channel, From the Nosebleed Show. But I've befriended him, and I'm waiting for him to get that Game Pass so that we can get on there and play some Call of Duty. Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming. If you guys play Grand Theft Auto or you play Xbox, I can't wait, because when Grand Theft Auto comes out, we're all going to be playing. We're all going to be in our own clan. Will I be gaming online? No, this is a wrestling channel. But are we going to be playing together? Oh yeah, on the headset, everything. Everything. So let's go to the survey. 50% of the audience feels, the majority of the audience feels that Adam Pearce is always justified in his behavior, while some people feel that Adam Pearce is unstable. Asking the question, is WWE positioning Bron Breakker as the villain or the consequence? Fernando checks in, and Fernando says that it's a combination of both. Yeah. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I agree with Fernando. The reason why I agree with Fernando is because with Bron Breakker being the villain, being booked as the villain, and being booked as the consequence, it does two things. It gives a new page, a new layer to not only Bron Breakker, but also new layer to Adam Pearce. It shows another side of Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman is supposed to be the advocate, right? He's supposed to be the oracle, the one that sees everything, right? The one that sits over, what's they call, omnipotent, whatever the word is. He that looks high and sits high and looks down low. That's what Paul Heyman is supposed to be. But it adds extra layers of character density to everybody else. In the future, you're going to be able to look at, do I think that Adam Pearce is going to get back in the ring? If Adam Pearce gets back in the ring, there's only one thing that's supposed to happen. He's supposed to get the brakes beat off of him. You know why? Because we know that. Some of us might know. If you didn't know, I'm telling you today, Adam Pearce is a wrestler. Former NWA World Champion. When the NWA was going to SHIT towards 20 to mid to late teens, 20 teens, Adam Pearce was the NWA traveling world champion. But WWE hasn't really told us that. WWE has not told us that Adam Pearce is a wrestler. So he's supposed to get the brakes just beat off of him. Him versus Bron Breakker is supposed to be a squash match. That's what it's supposed to be. Now, Nick Aldis, on the other hand, we could probably see him as differently, because he too, Nick Aldis, the GM, the manager over at SmackDown, he too is a wrestler, retired wrestler, NWA champion. He's the modern NWA, he was the first modern NWA world champion, Nick Aldis, and he wrestled in TNA. He's got a name to him. But WWE hasn't told us that. And we can't infer, we can't assume that he's a wrestler, because it's not going to fit into the storyline. That's going to be the issue, guys. that when if Bron Breakker has to step into the ring with Adam Pearce, none of it's going to matter that Adam Pearce is a wrestler because they haven't told us that on the TV. So if they haven't told us that on the TV, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we know. It doesn't matter how many teeth is in a shark mouth. It doesn't matter. The way it's supposed to be is a squash match. Fernando says, I think that Nick Aldis is for sure having a one-off versus Drew sometime later this year. Look, I thought that there's going to be a Nick Aldis versus Adam Pearce match at Survivor Series a couple years ago. I think it would be nice for them to lead to the next Survivor Series and put them both, make it Raw versus SmackDown legitimately. But I mean, granted, there's no real brand or draft or whatever anymore. It's really fluid. But maybe what they can do is they can draft maybe this. Actually, this might work. This might work. Hear me out for a second. What if they did, because there's no draft, there's no brand, Raw and SmackDown are two separate shows. So what if the WWE did this? That for the men's War Games match, Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis are at each other's throats. By that time, Bron Breakker will be champion. And that would mean that Bron Breakker would have to be put on the team with him, the Intercontinental Champion, the men's tag team champions on Raw, and then Adam Pearce. And then on SmackDown, it would be the World Heavyweight Champion, it'd be the United States Champion, the two men's tag champions, and Nick Aldis. That would be a hell of a War Games if they start building that right now, because now you got the dissension like, oh my God, how is Braun going to go ahead and work with Adam Pearce, because you know that they got beef and they got suspended twice and they probably had a match. Let me tell you something. This head is for a lot more than holding up these headphones. Maybe WWE. I'm available. You can message me. TristanLawShowMedia@gmail.com. You can go to my website, 830mg.com. Hey, you guys can go to 830mg.com. That's where everything for 830 Media Group is going to live. That's where you can find stuff for the Tristan Law Show, for Main Event Conversations with Cheyenne Ortiz. And as more shows and different brands fold into 830 Media Group, that is where you guys are going to find them. If this is the case, right, about WWE positioning Braun as the villain and the consequence, where does this actually go? Where does the story actually lead? I already gave you guys one tidbit already. I already said that maybe it can lead down to a Survivor Series War Games match next year coming, right? Instead of them telling the story in a couple weeks, like they did for the last Survivor Series, they slow burn tell the story where all the strings are loose, and heading into Survivor Series next November, they tighten it up real quick. But possible directions, Adam Pearce, he doubles down. More control, more punishment, and makes himself the antagonist. Look, the only reason that Vince McMahon ever became Mr. McMahon is because Bret Hart pushed his hand and Stone Cold Steve Austin pushed his hand. Without Bret Hart spitting in the face of Vince McMahon for shoot during the Montreal Screwjob, and without Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon would still be sitting on the table as an announcer. It was just a natural progression where Vince McMahon, in all reality, was never really the bad guy. Vince McMahon was just a guy that had a lot of money, that ran the WWE, and he was the boss, and he tried to hold Stone Cold Steve Austin accountable. And because we were so rebellious, we didn't want Stone Cold Steve Austin held accountable, we automatically penned Vince McMahon as the bad guy. So, what about Braun? Braun comes back, breaks free, suspension becomes more motivation, he returns more violent and more focused on Bron Breakker. If Bron Breakker's coming back, I say suspend Bron Breakker, keep Bron Breakker gone until the Royal Rumble, have him come in number 29 and have him come in number 30 and have him win. I don't want to see Bron Breakker on TV again. Bron Breakker was almost a world heavyweight champion. And what happened? He lost. So now he's suspended. Bron Breakker's running around on a tear. So what happens that Bron Breakker goes away and we don't see him again until the 30th. Until Royal Rumble in a couple weeks. And he's the 30th man. And now maybe he attacks the 30th man. And then he runs out and throws out everybody. And it's like, well, you know what? He was the last man. So now you have a match between Bron Breakker and the 30th man. And maybe the person that he threw out, the last person he threw out, who those three people could have those three people, Bron Breakker, the 30th man who Bron Breakker attacked, and the last man that Bron Breakker threw out to win, maybe those could be in a match because they all got a leg to stand on to where they can say that they won. And then what happens that Bron Breakker wins and goes into WrestleMania and fights CM Punk for the championship and then wins. I would pay for that. I would pay for that. I think that with Bron Breakker, that and Raw and Adam Pearce, I think Adam Pearce would definitely lose some credibility. Maybe another authority figure like Triple H has to step in, or Raw just descends into chaos. And don't get it wrong. Some nights I watch Raw, and of course it's built like this by design. It's a television show. When I watch the television show of Raw, I go, wow, that was really chaotic. But I like it. I want more. The best outcome creatively, let Adam Pearce become the reason Bron Breakker stops asking for permission. That's what I think. And that's what brings us to the real takeaway. This wasn't about a temper, or at least not mine. This wasn't about discipline, at least not Bron Breakker's. This was about a power dynamics. When authority figures bend the rules to keep control, they don't prevent chaos, they manufacture it. And Adam Pearce, he didn't suspend the problem. Oh, he just added more gasoline to the fire and just made a bigger one. And when Bron Breakker comes back, the system won't be ready for what it taught him. Well, what do you think? Is Adam Pearce accountable for his bad behavior? Is Bron Breakker really the problem? We're going to have to keep watching Raw. Watch more videos. Main Event Conversations with Cheyenne Ortiz comes on Friday. Bulldog Pittman is going to be the guest. Email me, TristanLawShowMedia@gmail.com. Call me, 973-873-0101, 830mg.com. I'm Tristan Law. This is the Tristan Law Show, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys, for watching. I appreciate you guys.